In this video, we'll talk about how Neymar's girlfriend, Bruna Biancardi, who just recently gave birth to the couple's little girl, has broken up with Neymar because he allegedly messaged an OnlyFans model. This is after he admitted to cheating earlier this year, and I wonder why Neymar doesn't learn, man. Now, in the world of football, Jude Bellingham is officially the best player in the world, at least to me. Coming from an ex-Barcelona fan, he's thriving in Real Madrid, and everything he's touching just seems to turn to goals. Elsewhere, we'll talk about the biggest bottling that's happened in the world of football. And no, I don't mean Manchester United, but we'll also talk about them and what's going to happen with them in Champions League. And Cristiano Ronaldo is getting sued. That's related to crypto and Binance. Finally, I'll introduce you to the world's most beautiful team, Santasfc. All this and more in this week's Footy Weekly. Welcome to Footy Weekly. I'm Banky, and I walk you through everything that's happened in the world of football this week. Leave a like, share, and subscribe, and share it with someone who would also enjoy this as well. Now, let's get into it. We'll kick things off with Real Madrid and Jude Bellingham. They played in the Champions League and also in the week after a week where Bellingham came from an injury. He played in the league and they won. He scored as usual, but in the Champions League, without a slew of players like Vinicius, Camavinga, Militao, Courtois, they still managed to defeat Napoli by 4-2. In an impressive display, Jude Bellingham took full control and even had the time after to shower on praise to show leadership qualities by telling the crowd to support Joselu, who has been having a bad stint lately. This man is proving to be a real leader, and he shows the positional awareness to go into space. He watches the game. He reminds me a lot like what Lionel Messi does when he's scanning and watching what's happening in the field. That's why it's hard for anybody to pick him up. He comes from deep. He runs forward. He plays like a midfielder. He goes into space. He's really hard to mark, and he's really thriving where he is. I wish him the best. I hope he keeps pulling these performances for months and years to come. Let me know if you think this too as well. If you think he's going to be the world's best player, or if you think Mbappe or Haaland or somebody else would be much better, or would actually would take the crown off him this year. But so far, I think he's on form. I think he's probably the best in the world at the moment. Now, we'll kick things off in the Premier League, where Newcastle defeated Chelsea by 4-1. Goals from Isak, Lascelles, Joelinton, and Gordon was more than enough, as even though Sterling scored a wonderful free kick and Reece James got a red card, to bring Chelsea back to their default setting. I had earlier praised Chelsea for scoring 4 goals against Manchester City and also against Tottenham, but it seems they are really back to their default setting. Elsewhere, Alejandro Garnacho scored an absolute goal of the season contender, or even a Puskas-worthy contender, as Manchester United defeated Everton 3-0 away at Goodison Park. He also scored midweek in their Champions League match against Galatasaray, which ended up becoming a 3-3 draw, effectively taking qualifications to the next round out of their hands. It was a disastrous game for Manchester United. Onana produced another howler, actually 2 howlers in this match. You could even probably say it as 3 howlers in the match, after Ziyech scored 2 free kicks and there was an absolute stunner by Aktoglu to make it 3-3. United were up by 2 goals at different parts of the match, but they bottled this match. And somewhere, David De Gea is probably laughing at everything that's happening at United. But I do feel some sadness for Andre Onana, who produced a very stunning performance in the match. He was very good in his distribution, except from those 2 free kicks and even the 3rd goal. The trolls came for them after the match, to the point that even Europa League admin was even tweeting that welcome back Manchester United to the Europa League. Their next match is going to be against Bayern Munich, who are still in really good form. Harry Kane is scoring so much in the Bundesliga. He scored 18 goals in just 12 matches with them in the league so far, and he's coming for Lewandowski's record. Let me know your thoughts about Manchester United though. Do you think they are going to qualify for the next round? Do you think they are going to end up in Europa League as 3rd? Or do you think they'll be out altogether? Let me know your thoughts below. In France, PSG defeated Monaco by 5 goals to 2, where Mbappe, Gonzalo Ramos, Dembele, Vitinha, and Colomwani were all on the score sheet. Although there is cause for concern because Donnarumma made another howler to allow Minamino to score. That would be a concern as they go into their final group match in the Champions League, in the group of death, where they'll be looking to beat Borussia Dortmund to qualify into the next round, to the knockout stages. Currently in their group, Dortmund is the only team that has qualified as they defeated AC Milan by 3 goals to 1. PSG needed the help of VAR after a very dubious penalty call to come away with just a draw against Newcastle. Although they did play very well in the match, the VAR call was very, very, very dubious. You can let me know what you think about that VAR call in the comments, or let me know who you think would eventually progress from this group, Newcastle or PSG. Now on to comeback stories in the Champions League. Joao Mauro had scored a first half hat-trick against Inter Milan, only for Inter Milan to come back and draw the match by 3 goals to 3. In another comeback match, this was a win for Barcelona as they effectively secured qualification to the knockout stages for the first time since Messi left the club. In a match where the two Joaos, Joao Cancelo and Joao Felix, scored as they came back to defeat FC Porto in the group stages to qualify in their own Champions League match. Arsenal is currently flying at the moment as they defeated Brentford by 1-0 to become top of the Premier League at the end of November. And they also defeated Lens by 6 goals to 0 to secure qualifications in the Champions League for the first time in a very long time. Kai Havertz is also getting in form as he scored twice in the past 2 games. And by halftime, the score was 5-0 against Lens, making that the highest halftime score an English side had ever scored in the Champions League. Elsewhere in their group, Sevilla, who typically aims to get into Europa League or honestly just qualifies for the Europa League and ends up winning it, they might not even make the Europa League as they lost 3-2 to PSV due to a last-minute goal by Ricardo Pepi. In other comebacks in the Champions League, Manchester City came from 2 goals down to defeat RB Leipzig by 3 goals to 2. Openda had scored twice for the hosts, but Alvarez, Foden, and Erling Haaland, who has now scored 40 goals in the Champions League and is the fastest player to do so, also went on the score sheet. Now, here are the teams that have qualified for the Champions League knockout stages: Arsenal, Atletico, Barcelona, Bayern, Dortmund, Inter, Lazio, Leipzig, Manchester City, PSV, Real Madrid, and Real Sociedad. The remaining 4 will be decided on the final day of the Champions League in 2 weeks. Now, in other news, Cristiano Ronaldo is facing a 1 billion lawsuit after his crypto advertisements as he partnered with Binance. And now the plaintiffs are claiming that him endorsing Binance led them to make loss-making investments. I doubt much might happen, but we'll stay in touch and I'll keep you updated on what happens in this story. This is Santasfc. They are a 7-a-side amateur team based out of Medellin, Colombia. It's run by player and CEO Monica Vallejo, who has over 9 million followers on TikTok. The players identify as influencers who can play football and have amassed a following on social media with their drills, their uniforms, their cheerleaders, and from participating in exhibition tournaments. They have over 1.3 million followers on social media. That's way more than Premier League teams like Brentford, Burnley, Fulham, Luton, Nottingham Forest, and Sheffield United. And I'm sure they're probably going to get a lot more after this video. Do check them out and see why they were called the most beautiful football team ever. Over in Brazil, it seems the title may be decided on the final day of the season, as there are several teams who could possibly win it. However, this should not have been the case, as Botafogo could have won the league as they had a 15-point gap and they bottled it in a period of 9 games. Last time I saw this was, last season, when Arsenal managed to bottle a 14-point gap at the top. Who do you think would eventually win this league? Luis Suarez team is there. Hendrick's team is there as Palmeiras. Flamengo is also in the competition. Let me know who you think would win it below. Still staying in Brazil, Neymar and his girlfriend Bruna Biancardi have officially broken up. This is weeks after she just gave birth to a girl. And allegations are that Neymar had messaged an OnlyFans model. But hold up, why does Neymar have an OnlyFans account? Anyways, footballers. And to make matters worse, apart from him being injured, he had publicly apologized for cheating just back in September. This story gets crazier by the day, man. Now, in new developments, the International Football Association Board has officially approved testing for sin bins to take effect in the world of football. It's going to be an orange card that will be given to players for cynical fouls or dissent, and they would have to be ejected from the game for about 10 minutes and then be allowed back into the game. This is more for things that goes beyond the booking and they can't give a red card for. What do you think about this though? Aren't there enough issues in football, like VAR issues, that we should not be adding new things, or do you think this would be a welcome addition? Let me know below. And on to other football news and injury updates. Since Alisson, Ansu Fati, and Pablo Barrios of Atletico Madrid have picked up injuries, the other two, that's Ansu Fati and Barrios, are going to be out for longer, but Alisson seems to just be a few weeks out. Seems there again, every week there's going to be a major football injury that happens. And we'll wrap things up with this bizarre goal scored in the 90th minute in Barnsley versus Wycombe. This was never given as a foul. I would say VAR is blind, but what do I know? Until next week, like, share, and subscribe this if you enjoyed this, and share it with someone who would also enjoy it as well. Thanks, talk soon.